There is something I have been carrying inside for a long time, something I have tried to bury so deeply that sometimes I convinced myself it no longer existed. But the truth is, some things do not disappear just because we stop talking about them. They stay somewhere inside us, waiting for the moment when we finally become brave enough to face them. And I think that moment has come, because if I keep this inside any longer, I am afraid the silence will consume me. There is a part of my past that you do not know about. A part of my story I have carefully kept away from you because I was terrified of what might happen if you ever saw the person I used to be. I have wondered so many times whether you would look at me differently, whether your eyes would change, whether the warmth in your voice would disappear, whether you would suddenly realize that the person you thought was calm, confident, and put together was actually someone who spent years trying to hide how broken they felt inside. Before you came into my life, I was not the person you know today. I knew how to smile. I knew how to act normal. I knew how to walk into a room and make everyone believe I was perfectly fine. But I did not know how to be honest about what was happening inside me. There were days when I felt completely lost. There were nights when I could not sleep because my own thoughts would not leave me alone. I would lie awake in the darkness, replaying conversations, remembering mistakes, questioning decisions, and wondering how I had become someone I barely recognized. I made mistakes, real mistakes. Things I wish I could go back and change. There were people I hurt when they did not deserve to be hurt. There were people I trusted who eventually betrayed that trust. There were moments when I reacted from anger, fear, insecurity, or pain instead of understanding. And there were times when I became so focused on protecting myself that I did not realize I was hurting the people around me. That is one of the hardest things to admit. I was not always the victim. Sometimes I was the person causing the damage. Sometimes I was the one who walked away. Sometimes I was the one who built walls. Sometimes I pushed people away before they had the opportunity to leave me. And the worst part was that I did not always understand why I was doing it. I only knew that something inside me was hurting. I was carrying wounds I did not know how to heal, and instead of facing them, I tried to hide them. I thought if nobody saw the broken parts, nobody could judge them. So I became good at pretending. I became good at saying I was okay. I became good at changing the subject whenever someone asked how I really felt. I became good at laughing when I wanted to cry. I became good at appearing strong while secretly wondering how much longer I could keep pretending. Then you came into my life, and somehow you did something nobody else had managed to do. You noticed me. Not the version of me I showed everyone, not the carefully controlled version, not the person behind the smile. You saw something underneath all of that. You saw the parts I thought were invisible. And that frightened me, because being seen is beautiful when you are ready for it. But when you have spent years hiding, being truly seen can feel terrifying. You looked at me differently. You listened to things I said without judging every word. You noticed when my mood changed. You seemed to understand when I needed space, but you also knew when I needed someone to stay. You did not demand that I explain everything immediately. You simply made me feel like I could. And I still remember those conversations that lasted much longer than either of us expected. Especially those moments when we stayed awake talking about everything and nothing. You laughed at the smallest things I said. I remember how strangely comforting that felt. For the first time in years, my heart did not feel heavy. For a little while, I forgot about the past. I forgot about my mistakes. I forgot about the person I used to be. I simply enjoyed being there with you. And somewhere inside me, a tiny thought appeared. Maybe I am not completely broken. Maybe I am still capable of happiness. Maybe I am allowed to be loved. That thought gave me hope. But hope can be frightening when you have spent years expecting disappointment. And that is something you may never have understood about me. Sometimes when I pulled away from you, it was not because I cared less. It was because I cared too much. I was afraid that the closer you came, the more you would eventually discover. And once you discovered everything, I was convinced you would leave. There were moments when you showed me kindness, and I did not know how to receive it. You could tell me that you believed in me, and instead of feeling completely comforted, a voice inside me would say, "You do not know the real me. If you knew everything, you would not say that. If you knew where I came from, you would not look at me this way. If you knew every mistake, every regret, every shameful moment, you would walk away." So sometimes I wanted to stop you. Sometimes I wanted to tell you not to get too close. Sometimes I wanted to push you away before you could become important enough to hurt me. But you were already important. That was the problem. I had become attached to your presence before I even realized what was happening. Your voice became comforting. Your messages became something I looked forward to. Your presence made ordinary moments feel different. And slowly, you became someone I did not want to lose. That created a battle inside me. One part of me wanted to run. Another part wanted to stay forever. My fear told me that you deserved someone better. My heart told me that maybe I had finally found someone who could see beyond my past. And I wish I had listened to my heart sooner, because one of my greatest regrets is the time I wasted being afraid of your love. I kept thinking I had to become perfect before I could deserve something beautiful. But nobody becomes perfect before they are worthy of love. We all carry history. We all have things we wish we had handled differently. We all have chapters we would rather hide. The difference is whether we allow those chapters to define the rest of our story. And you made me realize that my past is part of me, but it does not have to be the whole of me. You did not erase what happened. You did something more important. You reminded me that I could become someone different, someone better, someone more honest, someone capable of choosing love instead of fear. That is why losing you frightens me so much. It is not because I believe you are responsible for saving me. You are not. My healing is my responsibility. My mistakes belong to me. My past belongs to me. But you gave me something I had almost forgotten existed. Hope. You made me believe that redemption is possible. You made me believe that maybe I can be loved without constantly waiting for that love to disappear. And that is something I will always be grateful for. I know my past is not beautiful. There are memories I would never want to relive. There are choices I would never make again. There are people I wish I had treated differently. There are moments when I wish I could go back and give my younger self the wisdom I have now, but I cannot change what happened. All I can do is learn from it. All I can do is take responsibility. All I can do is make sure the person I become tomorrow is not controlled by the mistakes I made yesterday. And if I am being completely honest, you are one of the reasons I want to keep becoming better. Not because you asked me to, not because you demanded anything from me, but because loving you made me want to become someone who could love without fear, someone who communicates instead of disappearing, someone who admits when they are wrong, someone who does not punish another person for wounds they did not create, someone who understands that trust is built through consistency, honesty, patience, and actions. I do not expect you to forget anything I tell you. I do not expect you to immediately understand everything. And I certainly do not expect you to accept every part of my past without questions. You have the right to feel whatever you feel. You have the right to need time. You have the right to decide what is right for you. That is why I am telling you the truth without asking you to promise me anything. I just want you to know who I really am, not the perfect version, not the polished version, not the person who always knows what to say. The real person, the person who has made mistakes, the person who has been hurt, the person who has hurt others, the person who has been lost, the person who is still learning, the person who is trying, and most importantly, the person who genuinely cares about you. If after hearing everything you decide that I am not the person you believed me to be, I will understand. If you need distance, I will respect it. If you need answers, I will try to give them honestly. If you need time, I will give you time. But I hope you remember one thing. The love I have felt for you has been one of the most honest things I have experienced in a very long time. You did not fall in love with a perfect person. And I did not fall in love with a perfect person either. I fell for you because of the way you made me feel understood, because you brought softness into places inside me that had become hard, because you reminded me that being vulnerable does not always end in destruction, and because somehow, without even realizing it, you made me believe that my story could still have a beautiful chapter. So now you know the part of my life I was afraid to show you. You know why I sometimes became distant. You know why I struggled to accept your kindness. You know why I questioned whether I deserved your love. And if I could ask you for just one thing, it would not be forgiveness. It would not be a promise. It would simply be this. Do not judge the person I am today only by the person I used to be. Look at what I have learned. Look at what I am trying to become. Look at the way I choose to treat you now. Because the past may explain me, but it does not own me. I cannot erase yesterday, but I can choose what I do with tomorrow. And if you are still willing to stand beside me after knowing the truth, then I will never take that for granted. I will protect that trust. I will communicate when I am afraid. I will speak when silence feels easier. I will stop running from the person who sees me clearly, because you have already seen the shadows I tried to hide. And somehow, you still made me feel like there was light ahead. That is what you mean to me. You are not the person who saved me. You are the person who reminded me that I could save myself. You did not erase my past. You simply helped me believe that my future could be different. And maybe that is the most beautiful gift anyone could ever give me. The chance to believe that I am more than my mistakes, more than my regrets, more than my worst moments, more than the person I used to be. I am still learning. I am still healing. I am still becoming. But now, for the first time in a long time, I am not afraid of the future. Because when I think about what is ahead, I do not only see everything that went wrong. I see possibility, I see growth, I see honesty, and somewhere in that future, I hope I still see you. Because after everything I have been through, loving you has been one of the few things that never felt like a mistake. It felt like truth. And this time, I am finally brave enough to tell you.